Welcome back, everyone, to the PA the FI Way podcast. I'm your host, Kat, and I'm really excited to talk about the concept of anti-networking today. Before I do that, a quick update. I recently returned from an extended trip in Hawaii. I spent part of my trip with some family and then part of my trip with other family over there. And I was able to visit 3 different islands over there. My husband and I, we had been to Hawaii on our honeymoon. We went to Maui and Kauai at the time, and then for this trip, started at Big Island, went to Oahu, and then also Maui at the end too. And it was a really great time to thaw from the Minnesota winter. So back to being a little bit frozen here. Part of the reason why I was able to take that extended time away was because of my telepsych role that I have as a PA. I work as an independent contractor, so I have full control over my schedule and my time off. I don't get any paid time off, but I do get time off that I can use as I would like, meaning I can block my schedule and schedule patients as appropriate and when needed too. So was able to take that time away. So I just want to give you some hope that if you are feeling stuck in a PA role or another role in medicine, that you don't feel like you have autonomy or flexibility, that there are certainly roles out there where you can find them clinically. There are many providers out there that want to pursue non-clinical roles, but there is a lot to be said about clinical roles where you have a lot of control over your schedule and over your time too, because time is life's most precious non-renewable resource. So when you have that time that you're able to spend as you'd like with the people that you'd like and be able to have that meaningful time with your family and creating lots of memories, then it lights you up and keeps you motivated on this journey to financial independence, because as you get closer to financial independence, then the more control you have over your time as well. With the 3 different islands we went to, on Big Island, we did the night snorkeling with manta rays. If you're watching on YouTube here, I will show some video of how these large manta rays, they swim right past you because they attract them at night with the light, and that light attracts the plankton. So these rays come and eat the plankton, and they do these somersaults, these backward somersaults and rolls right in front of you. And it's super fun. I was able to run a GoPro camera for the first time. So I was operating with one hand with the GoPro, the other hand holding on to the snorkeling raft that they have you hold on to during this time too. It's a little bit of a balancing act, but it was actually super fun. Went with my niece and my nephews, 10 and 8-year-old, and then my husband, sister, brother-in-law, and we absolutely loved it. Everyone said that that is the thing to do if you're able to in Big Island, and I definitely agree. We also went whale watching on Maui, and that was super cool time of year to see lots of whales all around as well. And then my other highlight that I would share too was on Oahu, hiked Diamond Head with my aunt, and that was beautiful view. We were able to see Waikiki Beach from up there and Honolulu, and it's just a really interesting, unique hike where you start the hike in a crater of a volcano. Then on Big Island as well, we visited Volcanoes National Park. We did not see the actual eruption, unfortunately, of the volcano. We saw the steaming part of it, which was interesting, and then did another hike where we hiked into a crater of a volcano there as well, in addition to hiking through a lava tube, which is really interesting also. So we really enjoy visiting national parks, spending time in nature, seeing all the wildlife, and again, thawing this time of year too. Now that we're back in Minnesota, I'm sure there'll be some ice fishing around the corner this time of year, with a few different trips planned with family too. So we will go from one extreme to the other. But I wanted to share that again to emphasize that it is so important when you feel like you can have control over your time and not feel like you have to only take one quick short week of vacation per year too. So I do hope that you all had a wonderful Christmas and holiday season and New Year's season and really got to spend that meaningful time with your family too. If you're catching this on YouTube, I encourage you to put in the comments, have you done any of those things in Hawaii? Which of your islands are your favorite? And what was your favorite thing that you've done in Hawaii too? Transitioning into the topic for today's episode, it is inspired by a part of this book called The 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. And I have been a really slow reader in recent years, so I'm only halfway through the book, but I am also on his newsletter. So I received this newsletter over a year ago, I believe almost 2 years ago now, that had this concepts in here. And I've been thinking about doing a podcast episode for a while now. And I recently read about this section in this book. So I will include a link to this book in the show notes that if you'd like to order it or listen to the audiobook, you have that link for you. You can order it on Amazon if you'd like. But it's a really interesting book. And the 5 types of wealth, again, talk about time wealth, where that is one of the most influential and meaningful types of wealth, too. I just talked a little bit about time wealth. And this anti networking part that I'm going to talk about is about social wealth. So that's the second type of wealth. The third type is mental wealth, physical wealth, and financial wealth. All the different types of wealth and health that I like to talk about on this show, too. So, again, it's a really interesting book so far. The part that I just wrapped up is social wealth. And anti networking has 4 core principles that I want to review with you today. The reason why I believe all PAs, NPs, physicians, therapists, OTs, PTs, all of the providers out there can benefit from this information has to do with thinking about when are you networking. A huge time I'm networking is during CME conferences. And with being an introvert, I don't naturally to loving networking. However, in recent years, I have come to enjoy that part of conferences as honestly one of my favorite parts of CME conferences. Absolutely, it's important that you attend CME conferences, that you feel like you're getting value out of the CME. You are learning information, you're learning about new medications, you are learning about information that's pertinent to your specialty, or maybe if you're switching specialties, the information there as well. So CME conferences have a lot of value. But networking, again, is one of my favorites, especially with the AAPA conference, the National PA Conference. I am planning on attending it again coming up in May. So a few months from now, I am helping out with a couple of roundtables, some workshops for new grads, which I'm really looking forward to. So if you are going to the AAPA conference, reach out and we can connect. And then also local conferences. So I go to some MAPA conferences. I have also done psychiatry, mental health conferences too. So there are tons of CME conferences out there. Find ones that you enjoy going to and don't just sit there and listen to the conference, but really connect with those other healthcare professionals around you. And many of those connections can lead to potential jobs for you in the future too, or even having colleagues or connections that you can reach out to for different questions. I have some colleagues that are in different specialties, and sometimes we will text different questions back and forth too. So there is a lot of value to attending those conferences. But let's talk about anti-networking. Again, networking can have connotations, meaning that you feel like you have to go and impress people. That's often something that people can feel that pressure to feel, where they feel like they have to go make an impression, go be one of the most impressive or charismatic people in the room when they are going to places. And for my fellow introverts out there, that is not something that sounds appealing to us whatsoever. And for a lot of people, even the extroverts that enjoy connecting and enjoy talking everyone's ear off, love you, my extroverted friends, those people, they can even still feel like sometimes people can have that like sleazy salesman feel about networking, right? And truly, you don't want to just go out there and try to talk someone's ear off or impress them, right? So let's talk about the 4 principles about anti-networking. And I love this concept because it really helps you network better. It helps you network more meaningful and true to yourself, but also so that you're adding value and being intentional and caring and serving those around you too. The first anti-networking principle is to find value-aligned rooms. What in the world does that mean, Kat? Well, it means that once you figure out what your values are, what you prioritize in your life, figure out where other people who have those same values and same priorities would spend their time. For example, very obvious one is if you are a PA going to a national PA conference or a state PA conference, you will find other fellow PAs there. You both will have the values of being a PA. You will understand the profession. You will understand the role. You will have that mutual understanding, that mutual respect. So it's very easy to meet other PAs at those PA conferences. If you also value fitness, perhaps you join a gym. Maybe you attend some classes at the gym and can meet other people there. If you value art or creativity, maybe you go to galleries or museums or even events where you're creating art and meet other artists there too. So think about not only what you value, but also the things that you enjoy doing, the hobbies that you enjoy doing, and put yourself physically into those rooms. Those rooms could also be virtual rooms if you join spaces online, communities, groups. But I also encourage you to try to take those virtual meetups out into the real world. I've been messaging with another Minnesota PA through social media. Shout out for Kate, you know who you are. And we've been talking about potentially meeting up in person. We are both into the financial independence community and connected through social media and through the podcast and things like that too, but we haven't met up yet. So we are trying to schedule a time to meet up, right? So again, take it out of social media and meet people physically and have that connection, have that time where you guys are meeting and talking about the things that you value, the experiences you value, the hobbies that you value too. The second anti-networking principle is to ask engaging questions. Again, those of us who don't love to network or have this preconceived notion about what networking is in our minds, we tend to feel like we need to have this pressure on ourselves. But with this principle, you are asking the person you're talking to engaging questions about them, and it helps you take the pressure off of yourself and focus it on them. That is truly how you build connections, how you make them actually feel more impressed about you because they feel comfortable talking to you. You are not just being a show off or talking all about yourself, making the conversation about yourself. So when you meet someone at a networking event, instead of talking and spending so much time about yourself or what you've done recently or your ambitions, switch it around and ask them questions. You can start by introducing yourself, smiling, take the pressure off of you, and ask them, hey, what is your connection to this event or this person? If you're at a wedding or something like that, what is your connection here? Meaning, what drew them to the event? That could help you find some solid mutual ground, perhaps, or have more things to talk about at that point. Next, ask them a question. What are they most excited about currently? Again, these questions aren't even asking them, hey, what do you do? What do you do for work, right? That's kind of a boring question and doesn't really give them the opportunity to talk about necessarily what they love because unfortunately, a lot of people don't love their work, right? Some people do, but not everyone does. But if you ask them that question, what are you most excited about currently? That gives them the opportunity to talk about their work if that's something that they're working on or a project that they're working on through their workplace that is lighting them up. But it also gives them opportunity to talk about a recent or upcoming vacation or other projects that they're working on, lots of different things as well outside of what do you do for work. Adjacent to that question could be the question, what is lighting you up outside of work? Again, not even asking them about their work in particular, but giving them the opportunity to share about what is going on that they're really excited about that's lighting them up too. Maybe they're talking about something with their kids or another family member or a project that they have coming up or an event that they have coming up. And another great question to ask them is, what is their favorite book that they have read recently? Or you could ask them, what book are you currently reading? Books have a wide range between fiction, nonfiction, self-help, educational, or again, that can give you room to have that conversation propel and move forward over time. As you can notice, these questions really take away cookie cutter question of what do you do, which often leads to a cookie cutter response from them. And often the conversation can shut down pretty quickly. But when you are asking these anti-networking questions, these alternative, more engaging questions, again, you're taking that pressure off of yourself, highlighting them, learning and listening from them. And that helps you to be more interesting overall. And again, more of a comfortable person to talk to in these socially anxiety-provoking spaces that a lot of people can have at these networking events. So I challenge you, instead of focusing on being interesting when you're talking to people, Focus on being interested. Again, asking those good, engaging questions, asking follow-up questions, really listening to them and being focused and engaged at these networking conversations. Make sure your body language portrays that you're focused and having that conversation with them. Looking them at their face overall, not constantly looking over their shoulder, trying to connect with someone else, or shifting your body language and not facing them, because those subtle body cues imply to the person that you really aren't engaged in the conversation and that you're trying to escape or exit and talk to someone else or go to another group of people. The third anti-networking principle is to become a level 2 and level 3 listener. Besides the body language component that I just touched on, it's also important that when you're listening, you are listening more deeply than listening superficially. So most people, when they listen at a level 1 listening skill. And level 1 is when you are focused on me, meaning how do I fit into this conversation that the person is talking to me about? Meaning, what am I going to say next? It's when will my turn be to speak? What am I going to respond with? What am I going to say to sound interesting to this person? That is, again, a very superficial way of communicating. Level 2 is when you are listening through the lens of you, meaning the person you're talking with. You are listening how they are doing. You are paying attention to what they are saying, not focus on how you're going to respond, but again, letting them speak and listening intently to what they have to say. And then level 3 is us, meaning how do I and the person I'm talking to fit together? You're listening to how the person that you're talking with has underlying layers and how those layers work into the map of their life, but also potentially your life or maybe people that you know too. And you're not just listening to hear what they're saying, but you're also listening to further understand the deeper layers too. And again, level 2 and level 3 levels of listening, those are really great skills to develop even with our patients too, right? So many of us know that if you are only listening at a level 1, you could miss much of what the patient is trying to say or what their underlying fears or worries or concerns are. And when you take it a step further and listen level 2, level 3, and you show that you're actively listening, meaning that you are asking clarification questions, you're repeating back to them, you are showing that engaged body language, then that makes the patient more comfortable, or that makes your PA colleague or new friend that you met at the conference more comfortable talking with you and able to open up a little bit further as well. And the information that you are gathering in these first few steps lead you to the final step, the final core principle, number 4, which is to use creative follow-ups when you are anti-networking with someone. Many people, when they are networking with someone, they end the conversation, they never see them again, they never talk to them again, except for maybe next year at a conference too, when they run into them. Instead, anti-networking encourages you to use the information that you gathered and really store it, not only mentally, but you could also do it physically or digitally. So some people will write it down in a small notebook to help them remember. Some people will take notes in the notes section of their phone. I certainly have done that, especially with people that I want to follow up with from an AAPA conference that I want to host on my podcast as a guest. I will include their name, their contact information, but the conversation that we had and the topic or topics that I want to talk about when they're on my show in the future too, because you're often meeting a lot of people at these conferences. So it's important to keep the information straight and really remind your future self what you talked about that was really interesting, that you feel as though is part of their story that many other listeners or watchers of the show can benefit from too if they were to share their story in the future. So keep track of the information that you gathered. And then when you are ending the conversation too, before, again, you keep track of it afterwards. You don't write down in the notebook during the conversation what they're telling you. But before you end the conversation, don't feel pressured like you have to keep this conversation going forever. You can smile and say, "Thanks so much. It was so great to meet you. I hope to see you again soon." That is a very great way to wrap up the conversation. It's very neutral. It lets you have a way out if you are ready to end the conversation. You don't have to feel pressure to carry on this conversation for 20 minutes or an hour if it has run its course. So once the conversation has run its course, once you've logged and kept track of the important information that you've gleaned from that conversation, if you want to follow up with someone, if you want to show them gratitude for having a conversation, or maybe have them introduce you to someone else that they know or that you want to connect them with someone else that you know, you can reach out to them. Maybe you exchange contact information such as an email address or cell phone number for a text. Those are very commonly exchanged, or even social media handles. Maybe you connect on LinkedIn. Lots of ways to connect with people. You can see if they have a preference as well. And then a unique way of following up with them is sending them a book. You could send them one of your favorite books that you've been reading, or a book that reminded you of the conversation that the two of you had. Maybe you mentioned your favorite book that you're currently reading or recently read, and they haven't heard of it, and you send them a copy of it. Books are usually $20 or less. And again, can be a very cost effective way of portraying your gratitude and have a meaningful gift from someone that doesn't cost you a lot. And you could mail it to them, or you could send them a digital copy if you have access to a digital copy too. Otherwise, other great considerations could be that you share with them a podcast episode or even an article, a blog post about something that you read that reminds you of them too. Again, if you're talking with someone and you're thinking, man, I feel like they really need to meet this person, you could take the opportunity to introduce them, because when you start connecting others to each other, then you often have a place in the forefront of their minds about connections for the future too. And networking truly is all about connections. It really is not all about trying to impress people and the selfish reasons that a lot of people can feel like networking has those benefits for. I hope that you found the information about anti-networking to be as interesting and informative and helpful as I did. And I hope that you practice this information and carry it forward with you for upcoming conferences or other networking situations, even social events like weddings or church services or anything else coming up that you have too. And a reminder about why building your social wealth and social health is so important. It's because that it helps you have better physical and mental health for the future, helps you live longer. People often have fewer chronic medical conditions too when they have social health, and they often tend to be happier over the years too. So don't ignore those social connections. Make sure that you are fostering them and creating new ones as appropriate too. If you found this information helpful, it would mean so much if you were to subscribe to the channel and podcast, leave a review wherever you're listening to this on, and share with your colleagues, with your family, with your friends, anyone that you feel like could benefit from this information. I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I'll see you back here soon.